listening to Awake Radio. Straight talk for the awake and aware.
Good evening. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone at Awake Radio, for allowing me to present David Simmons tonight in this special edition of Alchemical Connections. We're going to start right off with Corporate War Junkies from Girl on Top. Alchemical Connections, and our special guest tonight is David Simmons. He is the amazing lead guitarist, virtuoso of Girl on Top. That's Karen DiBiase's band, which is his wife, her husband. And he is one of the best guitarists around, with his soaring solos influenced by his heroes Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page, 70 rock guitar style. And we were just talking during the song about Black Sabbath, who he absolutely loves. I know it's really hard to hear my mic. It seems to happen when I have the Skype interview. So I turned it all the way up. I can hear my breath. But you'll be able to. I think you'll be able to hear Dave better. So without further ado, I'm going to let Dave give us a brief introduction of himself. Thank you so much for being on Awake, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not even awake. Oh, man. Yeah, thanks. I don't even know interview there. I mean, intro, except I'll include Tony Iommi is probably, actually, I would say, like my favorite influence. That's not like Lock, Stock, and Barrel, of that era you're saying, of the 70s. It's almost like, you have to have Hendrix and Page, no matter who you are, And then after that, you make your picks and chooses, you see. But if I had to pick one, it would be Iommi from Black Sabbath.
And he's from Black Sabbath.
He's the actual creator and founder, along with the bass player Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath. And to me, they've got their finger on the actual subject that I'm pretty much obsessed with, and that I think is, to me, is just as important as like what the current events are of what's going on with the InfoWars situation. But my thing is like the antiquity, roots or origin of it, or actually I would say even the cause of why we are where we are today.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. So we'll just start with, you can explain to us how you got into music. How did you start playing the guitar, and how did you become this virtuoso?
Well, that was, I can almost say that's almost besides like growing up listening to my uncle's tapes they brought home from Vietnam, which was pretty much dominated by, when you're learning guitar, you start, of course, with like Chuck Berry, early 50s and 60s, and then, of course, Beatles and Stones, and then you get all that under your belt, and then I kind of went back to the blues, where I figured, well, that's where these guys were inspired from. Then I started learning about blues, while simultaneously getting into the heavier, more, evolved stuff like Cream, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, blah, blah, blah. Deep Purple. Another heavy guitar player I really liked was Richie Blackmore, Deep Purple. And then later Rainbow, and he teamed up with Ronnie James Dio.
Wow.
Which is also a kind of a little apropos, because it's these guys were all into, I would say, the same thing. The history of Egypt, Atlantis, Babylon, all of them, Samaria, the origins, even you might say the origins of evil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they really wrote about if you listen to lyrics. I mean, I wouldn't know where to begin. It's just so much of it. And you can actually, even if you know what they're talking about, you can even learn. As crazy as it sounds, you could actually learn about ancient history, like Babylon. Somehow they knew about the fallen angels who first arrived on Mount Hermon in the Middle East, in the Jordan, in the Gedden Valley. And that's what Mount Hermon means, the Silver Mountain. And Rainbow, on the first album, has a song called Man of the Silver Mountain. Right?
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but maybe some of your friends are if they're into the same music as I am. And the lyric is basically, he's saying, someone's screaming my name. come and make me holy again. Okay? What that means is someone screaming my name. They are doing human sacrifice to pay tribute to, you could pick the myriad of names, Baal, Bel, Beelzebub, Enlil, Satan, Azazel, Samyaza, Samuel. Then there's his older brother, Lucifer, Enki, Peter, Osiris, right? So that's basically what that song's talking about. Like someone screaming my name, come and make me holy again. So they're fallen, and they basically want to be back to where they came from. The high, the point of on high, the estate of the Creator, even though they rejected his authority and was expelled from that dimension. See, everybody talks about angels, and they talk about aliens and blah, 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 and they think that there may be actual physical beings. Well, they may be, but ultimately, like you say, I've heard you say in our conversations, they're more along the lines of inter and outer dimensional beings.
Absolutely.
They've been expelled from the estate of the Creator, whatever name you want to use. And there's so many names that have been misused or misnamed. Like, I mean, Satan or Enlil himself stole the name, which isn't really a name, it's a concept, Yahweh, which is synonymous to Jehovah, which is an actual plural connotation. Right. It's a plural connotation. It's the same thing as Elohim, the shining ones. Shining ones is basically the fallen angels. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When they took on physical form, when they entered into the third dimensional reality and manifest in the physical, they took on the form of a fallen creature. And I guess the Creator decided that would be a serpent or a reptoid of some type, and each different, quote, god or entity, according to his character, took on a physical form that sort of emulated his personality. Like, see, I'm winging this.
I'm amazed. You're like totally blowing my mind where you're relating this occult stuff to the music, and I didn't expect to go there. It's awesome.
That's where that music came from, really. I mean, those guys, and some people have even, of course, accused these guys of being devil worshippers, because how else would they have so much knowledge about this stuff? Or why would they be so obsessed with that subject in their lyrics? Or how about the names? A lot of these bands' names. And the guys who actually started that whole style, they actually invented the style, was Black Sabbath. What is a Black Sabbath but a human sacrifice in tribute to a certain deity from the realm of the dark side?
Awesome.
Black Sabbath. But see, my theory with Black Sabbath is, and I've even heard other people say, they're like the first true Christian evangelistic rock band who is the antithesis of evil. They're preaching and warning you against, or saying, this is what evil is, this is where it's going to get you. Don't go there. But at the same time, rejecting any kind of organized, institutionalized religion. See? And I happen to agree with them.
Right.
I reject all. I reject all institutionalized, compartmentalized, organized, whatever, religion. And I believe if there was a Jesus or whatever, and I consider, if I was a Christian, I would call him Yeshua, which is the ancient name for the ethos, or the Supreme Spirit, or the actual essence of spirit, right?
Right.
That's an ancient Aramaic name, which is actually a lot of even Hebrews consider the real name of the Messiah, who they believe hasn't come yet. And technically the name Yeshua means he who was, is, and always will be. Right? I mean, those are the three stages of so-called time: past, present, future. And supposedly, a lot of people have been misled to think that, Yahweh is the father of Yeshua, and Yahweh is the name of God. But really, technically, Yahweh, if you study, gematria, the ancient connection between the letter, what each letter signifies, Yahweh is really the essence of creation, of the energy, creative energy. Whatever it is. 2 bugs, 2 people, or a whole entire galaxy created out in space. It's that act of creation. It's the essence of it, right?
It's amazing.
I mean,
It's amazing, yeah.
That's my understanding of what Yahweh means. It's not the actual name of the entity, God. I mean, people think that, I guess, because the story of Moses going on the Temple on the Mount, somehow I think finally when Moses asked, now that's a whole other digression if you believe that Moses existed. Let's just say theoretically he really existed, because some people say he never existed.
And some people
And
think
some
he was
think he was
Akhenaten.
Yeah, Akhenaten, exactly. Right?
Right.
And
But
that Moses
he
was
is
a name
Akhenaten.
made up from. Yeah, me too. And that the name Moses comes from Tutmosis,
Right.
which is a relative of Akhenaten. I think it's either its grandfather or its father. And then there was King Tut somewhere on either side of that. And anyway, I'm digressing again, but
You're not digressing. You're giving us an
supposedly
education.
the Sermon on the Mount. Well, I don't mean to be standing up on a box either, because it's not about me. It's not about me at all. None of this. It's like I was surprised you were going to talk about our music, and there's way too much ego out there, even in the InfoWars and a lot of the people who are down to earth that I've met. Sometimes it seems there's too much ego out there. It just kind of detracts from the actual focus of the message that has to get out. And I have a theory that so-called Yahweh from the story of Moses on the Temple of Mount was Enlil, posing to be God, because he's a despot. He's the ultimate despot. He's Satan.
Yeah.
Right? He's an angry, jealous God. I mean, doesn't the speech on the Temple of Mount go when Moses asks, "Who art thou?" And he says, "I am an angry, jealous mountain god." And then he says, "Well, what is your name?" He says, "I am who I am." And he's stalling and beating around the bush, no pun intended, because that was when the burning bush happened, and he started talking to the burning bush, which was just a metaphor. It was actually I believe, a UFO floating in the clouds, shooting lightning all around because it was charging the ionosphere with its electromagnetic field. And it was Enlil sitting inside of it, talking down to Akhenaten. And Akhenaten was worshiping the Atan Ra. The Atan Ra, the dark side of the sun, which is none other than Enlil, or Satan. Or, as the Hebrews called him, Satan, right?
Mm.
Or if you look in the book of Enoch, they called him Azazel, and Azazel was the leader of the fallen angels who in Genesis 6 agreed to go into the daughters of man. And they produced men of great renown known as the Nephilim, right? The giants. That was the second generation of the fallen angels on the earth. Then the giants begat sons, and those sons became the Canaanites and the Phoenicians. And those are the 12-foot giants that they're finding all over the world that are 12 feet tall with red hair and blue eyes. And then the Smithsonian goes in and confiscates them. And then the men in black come to your house and threaten to kill your family if you ever speak of it again. And the remains just disappear.
Well, I'll let you take a little break. We'll play another tune. So, do you have a preference? What you want to hear? And we'll chat about the microphone issue. Do you want to hear Superman or I Don't Want to Stop? I'll play I Don't Want to Stop because that's what I like. I don't want to. And we're back on Alchemical Connections with David Simmons from Girl on Top. And he's explaining to me about Black Sabbath again and their new album. One of the songs is called In the Beginning. Neither one of us has the MP3, but if you have a chance to listen to it, you can check it out. And David, maybe he'll explain it. Hey, David, welcome back.
Hey. Yeah, she just said something about how it's making the connections between the occult and the social political arena, and then I'm like, well, yeah, but that's where it all began. And then she said something about the beginning, and then I'm thinking, wow, that's like the first song on the new album, and that's what the song's about.
It's amazing.
It's synchronicity. It's just at its best. They're just obsessed. The main lyricist of that, their bass player, Giza, is obsessed with this stuff. I mean, he's the main, writer of the lyrics. Everybody thinks Ozzy writes the lyrics. He doesn't do anything. Ozzy was the last one. Well, I mean, he was the last one to join, and the drummer who got schlepped out of the scene now because of his health brought Ozzy to a rehearsal, and Ozzy walks in the room with a sneaker on a string, and he's dragging it behind him like a puppy dog, and he's like, "Don't mind my pet sneaker." And then the two other guys who started the band, the leader, Tony, and Geezer, looked at each other like, what? Who the hell is this nutcase,
Yeah.
And, like, the way they did their songs is the bass player would write the lyrics, then him and the guitar player would write the music, and then they would record it all, and then they would hand Ozzy a sheet of paper with lyrics on it. And, of course, he'd be half in the bag doing the lyrics and putting his reaction to their riffs to how he perceived the melody would be to how the words would fit the music. So he did take part of writing the melody, which is a huge part of a song. But the whole foundation of the song was presented to him by Geezer's lyrics and Tony and Geezer's music. And that's how they operated. But he gets more credit.
Right.
And then along came Sharon, and because her father was their manager, she thinks that she can later on in life, sue them for the rights to the name, if you can believe it or not. And she didn't do a damn thing except, grow up as being the daughter of their manager.
Yeah, well, money talks.
Yeah.
People walk.
Yeah. And sometimes it's bush shit.
Yeah, a lot of it. So, where did you get your occult education? Like, is it just from listening to the music and getting into the musicians, or did you have, an inkling before you got into the music?
I think it happened simultaneously. And at a very young age, I was extremely suspicious of the government. And I grew up during the Vietnam War, and no one could give me a good answer why my uncles were going 20,000 miles away to fight a war against a third world country that couldn't even wipe its own keister. And it was we're supposed to believe that they're a threat. And then I started seeing movies when I got a little older about hollowing out softballs to ship heroin over from the Golden Triangle, which is really what the Vietnam War was all about. And so the softballs weren't big enough. So then they started using the exhumed bodies of the soldiers and stuffing that with heroin. And it was a dual-fold, maybe triple-fold operation, because then you got the soldiers who were going over there, getting addicted to the junk, and then going home and turning their friends onto the junk. And then the other ones who were still dying and coming home are bringing the junk home in the coffins.
Yeah. And it's still going on.
Yeah, in Afghanistan. And it's just really business as usual again, where Queen Victoria left off. And then somehow the French got involved in between, and then we went there in 1959 with Nixon. Daddy Bush sent Nixon as an emissary and said, okay, the French are giving this up to us, whether you like it or not. We're going to be here. You want to make a deal, or do you want, and they gave the North Vietnamese, and they got China behind them, and then the rest, everybody knows that story. And that's the old case of how Patton said, well, the United States are the best at winning the wars we lose. You know what I'm saying? We're the best at winning the wars that we actually lost, you see? They didn't really lose
No, they gave the illusion of that.
They give you, it's like what Patton said that. Patton said, well, we're the best at winning the wars that everybody thinks we lost. In other words,
like the Second World War.
Even second. Yeah, we won the Second World War.
Well, but I mean, when they dismantled the German construct of the Nazis, and they
Oh, the
paperclipped them.
paperclip picked up.
Yeah, people don't know about that. People,
You're talking about paperclip?
yeah, people think that
Yeah, we're on the Fourth
they
Reich,
went to
yeah.
the Nuremberg trials and they all got arrested and whatever, and paid their dues, and they don't know that some of the most heinous ones are right in our own government.
Yeah, well, Daddy Bush and paperclip. Yeah, which, since we digressed to that real quick, the Bushes is not really the real name. That's a made-up name. Prescott Bush isn't even George Bush's real father. His real father was Wilhelm Schurf, an SS general in the Gestapo, personal friends of Reinhard Gehlen, the top SS assassin under Himmler.
And where do you get this information? No, just to clarify, like, other people can check your resources.
Yeah, this was some stuff that me and her found out online. Just doing backgrounds of different backgrounds and linking and bouncing. And I wish I could say it was a more bona fide, source, like a definite book or something. I can't quote that. You know what I mean?
That's okay, and you're familiar you're familiar too that Barbara Bush, their mother, George W. Bush's mother, may have been fathered by Aleister Crowley. Mr. Crowley.
And Christ.
And and the esoteric background of the Nazis. I mean, it's all connected. It's all hidden. But
you mean the Society, Blavatsky, Crowley was helping, tutor the Third Reich how to summon the dark side's powers, to Dr. Mesmer. The word mesmerize came from the Nazi doctor, Dr. Mesmer. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that was to show Hitler how to mesmerize thousands of people simultaneously, and then they marched on to war.
So, and from there we can go back to the angels, because I just think that's so fascinating, and it's funny. To that. It's so funny because I just got into this. I just found a doctor. His name wasn't Simmons, but it was a gentleman on the internet who is deeply into the esoteric, and he actually teaches how to eat the sun, so you can see entities. So I've been kind of practicing that the last few days. But
careful.
Yeah.
Careful. Well, entities. That's an interesting one because I have thousands, or actually I don't know. I lost track. I've got thousands of pictures of this site that I found where I am pretty positive that I have actual specimen of some of these creatures we are speaking of.
Yeah.
And it's actually hard to believe myself. And there are people who think I'm just seeing things and inferring into things because I want to prove my point of my research and stuff. And I'm like, no. I was walking the dog in the woods, minding my own business. And even though I've been researching this stuff for 40 years, I hadn't consciously said, well, today I'm going to go out and try to find petrified remains of these fallen angels. Okay? He looked down on the ground. It looked like he was eating something I didn't want him to, like chicken bone. And it was a bear claw.
Ooh. Yeah.
The first thing I found was a bear claw. And I lost the bear claw just prior to that. And it's a high-powered Native American talisman, right? And it's also the symbol of the Bear Clan. Mm-hmm. I found a bear claw. I started looking around. Then I saw something that really freaked me out to the core. I found a little bone, and I thought it was an animal. Then I started looking closer. It had 5 digits like a human hand, but it was only barely 3 inches long. What I found was an infant arm from the elbow to the fingers, laying in the mud, petrified. Then I started seeing more and more things. I started seeing so many things. It was an inundation and overwhelming. I mean, if you took a square foot anywhere on this place, you will find at least 30 specimens of sacrificial remains.
So what did
And
you
just
do?
I just started taking pictures and chipping away and taking specimens and samples, and without trying to ruin them, like just little corners pieces, and labeling them in plastic bags and bringing them home. I still haven't bringing them to a lab because I don't trust anyone.
You didn't call the
I'm not
police or anything?
No, this stuff is thousands of years old. This is
Okay.
like, except it's on the right
It's
on
like
the surface.
petrified.
Yeah, it's petrified. It's like the mud or the stone was at one time either lava or just like mud, and then it hardened over a long time.
Right.
And then there was erosion, which wore away the layers, and then it started exposing the specimen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I still estimate this thing to be up to 4,000 years ago. That means that the third generation of the angels, the fallen angels, that means the Nephilim's children, the Phoenicians, and the giants together came over here. They were driven out of the old land by, just like the stories in the Bible say, Joshua was ordered by, let's just say theoretically he existed, Moses. He said, go.
Okay, I'm having some technical
These giants out of
difficulty. Can you hear me okay, David?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Our sound is kind of getting a little distorted. You might be getting too close to the truth. And we just passed the half-hour point, so I'm going to go play a station identification, and I'm going to play another song. We'll play Let It Rock, and then we'll come back. Hopefully we'll have the sound sorted. Thank you for listening to Awake Radio with David.
You're listening to Awake Radio. Straight talk for the awake and aware.
Makes you feel good. Could it be so wrong? Who you are? Does it matter? Here we all belong. Could be rich, could be poor, could be glad, could be blue. 'Cause whatever you are, it'll be there for you. Let it roll, and it's all up to you. Let it roll on the floor. Did it
And we're back with David Simmons here on Awake Radio. This is Chrissy McMahon, and you're listening to Alchemical Connections. Welcome back, David. Maybe you want to talk a little bit more about the artifacts that you found, or maybe you want to get back into how this all relates to your music or your introduction to music and what you understand. I mean, we can go anywhere. It's fine.
Nah, this is so like all-encompassing. It's like it's all connected to everything because it's basically where the human civilization began, really. If you're talking about the Anunnaki in Samaria, Enki, who I know also in my perception to be is, Lucifer, you might just say is the father of the creator of the human race. And that many people have researched this and said this besides Zachariah Sitchin. And, blah, blah, he's been accused of being, bending the translations to fit his interpretation, blah, 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 or being a misinformationist. And Arizona Wilder accused him of being a shape-shifting Illuminati misinformationist. And then there's Michael Heiss, the so-called Hebrew linguistic scholar, who accuses him of misinformation. And this guy, Michael Heiss, I never even heard of until here he is all of a sudden trying to tear down a giant like Zachariah Sitchin, because in this subject, in the 20th century, I don't care who you are. If you're talking about this, you have definitely studied Zachariah. And I don't care what flaws he has, he's definitely on to something.
Yeah, the 12th Planet is considered to be his swan song, like the one of the best of his series of ratings. But a lot of people, kind of look down on Zachariah because he made some interpretation mistakes. And I was at a conference with William Henry, and he was like really badmouth. And apparently, this person has a website that you can go on. And you can actually translate ancient Sumerian right on the website. Like they have some kind of an application. And
really?
and he was like bad-mouthing this guy because he said that some of Zachariah Sitchin's translations were off. And instead of saying, let's kind of sort it out. And you were talking about egos. It's like he was like almost screaming about this guy. And I thought, well, isn't that an awesome website? You can go to a website and you can translate an ancient language that none of us understand, and you can understand it. But he was more focused on, because I guess Zachariah had just died, and he thought, it was sacrilegious to to say anything against him, and I understand what you're saying, because it was because of pioneers like Zachariah Sitchin that we have these great revelations. So we're very fortunate.
I stick up for him because I've checked out his sources and inspirations, like Dr. Alfred, a linguistic scholar, anthropologist, also another English of the same discipline, Dr. Howell. And then there were the two German high school teachers who were professors in linguistics who actually deciphered the tablets. They all say the same thing, and it's all almost pretty much verbatim what Sitchin has said.
Right.
And I don't even care what any of them said. I've thought about this for 40 years and researched this stuff for 40 years. And what makes the most sense to me is a lot of what Sitchin did say. And ultimately, the final conclusion is, yes, Lucifer created the human race as an Anunnaki fallen angel to mine for gold, for us to be their little pets and slaves. To mine for gold, to save their atmosphere on their other planet where they first manifested physical density reality on Nibiru, which is a dead planet. It's a dying planet. The star is a brown dwarf. It's a dead solar system. It rotates in our solar system every 3,600 years, which just so happens to correspond with a mini ice age, which happens every 4,000 years, give or take a couple hundred years. which can be proven in the ice core samples taken at both poles.
Wow. So are we due for one soon, or is that coming up?
Well, every mini ice age, or any ice age for that matter in general, has a warming period that precedes the ice age.
Wow.
And that's what we're seeing now. Okay. Al Gore and Maurice Starr, not Maurice Starr. Is it Maurice Starr? Or who's that jerk in England who's trying to push the carbon tax?
Oh, they all are. We have
Maurice
Obama
Starr.
here.
That's what this pounding of the drum of global warming is all about. Okay?
Well, I think actually Clinton started it.
It's a lie.
Clinton
it's all
and,
about money.
Gore.
It's all about
Absolutely.
getting more. It's about the Romans getting more taxes from the serfs. Period.
You're going to tax the
I don't
air
even
you
wanna-
breathe. And
I don't even want
the
to
air you
talk
expel.
about it. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. It's a digression. I'm just saying I ended up going there because of I don't even remember. We were talking about Sitchin and the Anunnaki.
Yeah, and about the atmosphere and how
Well, it was
gold...
about the atmosphere, right? Well, it's the same reason. It's the same thing. It's like, kind of sounds familiar. Our atmosphere, they're trying to say, is really messed up.
Well, they're messing it up, aren't they? I mean, I have a hard time sometimes believing that it's coming from outside of the Earth. When you see the chemtrails and you see the pollution and you know what they're doing to the water and the vaccinations and the electromagnetic frequencies, and when you put it all together, I'm like, they're screwing with our system, you know. But I also know that they're telling us NASA lies, but then they're using NASA records to say the whole solar system's warming up. So
You mean
it's
NASA?
Confusing. Yeah.
Are you saying NASA?
NASA. Yeah, NASA.
Oh, never a straight answer.
Correct. And that's why I balk when I hear, oh, NASA says this, and I'm like, or, how do we know? Who are the independent astronomers? Where are these independent astronomers giving us some information? And how can they see past the chemtrails? Who's getting past the chemtrails here? It's just,
IRS, the IRS telescope.
Yeah, actually, it's it's
called the infrared. It's the infrared.
Okay.
It's called RIAS. RIAS. I forgot Iris telescope. It's that.
Okay. And that's part of the Jesuit system, the Holy See. They're in control of all that. They own all the
astronomy
telescopes. Yeah.
Well, believe me, I can tell you things about the Jesuits because I work for the top Jesuit rectory in Boston, in New England, pretty much the East Coast, and I found things there that will blow your mind, that fit right in with the Illuminati and the old ones. Okay, some of these so-called priests are nothing more than witches wearing priest habits.
Absolutely. The Saturn cult. It's the Saturn cult.
Yes, okay, there you go. I was just going to say that. The reason why they wear black and the judge wears black and the lawyer wears black is the Brotherhood of Saturnalia.
Yep.
So anyway, let me see. I was at...
Yeah, we're digressing. So much for rock and roll, yeah!
I was going off on Anki, and we're basically his little pets, you know what I mean? Or their little pets. I mean, Perry Farrell, the guy from Jane's Addiction, he must know about this. He wrote that song, We'll Make Great Pets. We'll make great pets.
I know, isn't it crazy? I mean, television, radio, everything. We're getting so much information. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
You can also realize that Anki was the original dirty old man, Uncle Salty. I mean, the whole reason we even exist, right? Is so that he could have his little toys. And how do you think Horus was born? Enki raped his little brother's daughter, who was Inanna, or otherwise known by the Egyptians, or I should say the Greeks, renamed her Isis.
Right.
And then along came little Horus, which is Ra. Which I don't know if I should even say this, but this is absolutely insane, and I don't have any way to verify this. But I've done, like, along my travels, looking for ways to verify my, you'll say, discovery or whatever, and to try to make sense of it. One of these specimens, you're not even going to believe this. I was looking for symbols of what petroglyphs the Babylonians would draw to describe Marduk, or Ra, the Egyptian sun god. They called him the goat-headed serpent. He was a reptoid serpent with a goat-shaped head because he had 2 huge horns and a goat's beard and big ears, kind of like a Baphomet, stuck onto a very large serpentine body.
Just like the Capricorn symbol.
Well, yeah. Lo and behold, I'm walking up one of my rock croppings where these things are, and I look down and I see in the middle of all this flint stone some phosphorus stones, dark green stone, in the shape of none other than a goat-headed serpent.
Wow.
With the snout lobbed off. Okay. This thing is 25 feet long from the tip of the nose to the body. Then the tail starts, which is 80 feet long.
Wow.
And this is outcropping on top of the rock. It sticks up several inches up off of the rock, and it's attached.
Maybe you want to get in touch with Josh Reeves. I had him on as a guest, and that's what he's doing. He's going around across America, but he's not only interested in American ancient artifacts and megaliths, but also around the world to make the connection.
But it gets better. Check this out. The reason I have strong feelings that this very well could be Marduk itself is, there's multiple reasons. I'll try to tell you as quick as I can. There are several placenta with embryo intact all around the head, and there's one in the middle on top, laid on top of the head. There are tracks of giant Nephilim tracks, 40 inches long, with 6 toes, all around the site.
Wow.
The place is littered with skulls of infants, with pituitary gland harvesting. There are heart hearths full of the remains of hearts that turn the mud purple. And I mean, this place is inundated. Okay, to me, an embryo tribute is the ultimate sacrifice. You take a virgin, you rape her, impregnate her, and then when the baby is either 3 months old or just conceived in the embryo stage, you sacrifice both of them to the god. There's plenty of that all around this site. It's disgusting. It's freaky. It's creepy. It's unbelievable. I still can't even believe it. I can't believe I'm talking about it.
And you have pictures of this?
Yeah, I got thousands of pictures of this. And I also have samples. I have samples of the placenta, samples of the heart, samples of the skulls, all in bags waiting for a trustworthy laboratory. Not only that, there is the myth, which I don't believe is a myth, that Marduk exiled his younger brother, Thoth, the god of science, because he was so threatened by him. Because he was the only one by Enki given the power to revive a dead body. Kind of sounds familiar?
Yeah.
Can you say Lazarus? Can you say Jesus and Lazarus? Thoth came to the New World, and he established all kinds of civilizations, starting with the Maya, then the Aztec, and then the Inca, and then all of the Native Americans, including the Zuni, the Hopi, the Anasazis, which is a whole collection of them. It's actually Thoth and his band of merry travelers were the Anasazi. And if you ask a Hopi elder, they'll tell you Anasazi means the old ones, the elders. And they stood upright. There were serpents that stood upright. And that fits right in with the cave discovered in the Snake River by Robert Kincaid in 1910 And the Smithsonian went and dynamited it shut because his report stated that there was a 40-foot golden Buddha or Shiva statue of serpents and Shiva in there, and there was it was big enough to house 50,000 people, large people, and then there was a huge series of caverns that got huger and deeper, and he was afraid to go any deeper because it had the stench of serpent. It's like, imagine someone with a pet snake that never cleaned the cage, and it was like 1,000 times many of them and big, you know. So he got the hell out of there, and then after that report, the Smithsonian went in and shut down the cave.
Wow.
Okay, so anyway, back to Marduk. He exiled his brother, Thoth. Now, I believe my site may very well be the final battle between Thoth and Marduk, because I have another specimen that's 40 feet tall. It's a bipedal. It looks just like an Allosaurus bipedal dinosaur. But the only difference is I've been studying dinosaurs all my life. There is no bipedal carnivorous dinosaur on the paleontological record that has horns 2 feet long on its head.
Wow.
And a human jaw 18 inches long.
And that sounds so familiar. Like the image you're describing sounds like something that we should know. Like those of us who have interest in occult, like it sounds familiar. So what does this resemble?
That's what they call the Dracos.
Okay.
It's called the Dracos.
Okay.
See, the Anunnaki, the fallen angels, are comprised of two families. One is the Alpha Centaurus Draconis, which is what the Queen of England is a descendant of. And they're the only ones that can be royal. Then the other side is the Sirian, ABC Sirian star complex, the Osiris of Sirius. O meaning of Sirius.
Right.
The Greek name for Enki or Lucifer. And of course, he's from the star system where the brightest star in the sky is, Sirius, right. The dog star. Okay.
So it's all connected.
There's no way around. There's no way to get away from it.
No. And how about we take a break, Dave, and we'll come back. We'll do a station identification. We'll play a song, and we'll come back and we'll get more into this because this is really getting deep. I'm going to play Deranged. It's going to come up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I know. They're all good.
No, but I mean from that particular last segment.
I know. So thank you for listening to Alchemical Connections, and we have David Simmons, and we will be right back after this station ID and Deranged by Girl on Top.
You see what sending out them negative waves did, Moriarty?
But oddball, I did try and tell them, but they won't listen. I tried.
Sure.
But I did try.
Oh, man. Don't hit me with them negative waves so early in the morning.
But I can't force them to listen. I can't.
Always with the negative waves, Moriarty. Always with the negative waves. Have a little faith, baby. Have a little faith.
But I keep trying. Oddball, I keep trying. But they won't listen. They won't tune in. They really won't.
Why don't you knock it off with them negative waves? Why don't you dig how beautiful it is out here? Why don't you say something righteous and hopeful for a change?
Tune in to Awake Radio for your positive waves.
Taking over me. decadent, fragmented, insanity obsessed. It's certified that I'm incurably possessed. Save me, I'm crazy. Put over love. Chase me, contain me. I just can't go. Save me, I'm crazy. I'm losing hope. Chase me, contain me. I just can't go. It's cold, so it's there's something really messed up going on around here. I don't running away from every good thing we found and taking for granted the luck of being around. And no medication can ever make you feel right. Just don't stop believing and never give up the fight. You can't stop living, it's all you got, and you can't stop giving. It's all you are, and you can't stop living. It's all you got, and you can't stop giving. When all the choice turned to pain, in place of bright sunshine are only dark clouds and rain.
Hey, we're back. This is Chrissy McMahon, and you're listening to Alchemical Connections. Our guest tonight is David Simmons, lead guitarist extraordinaire of Girl on Top. That's Karen DiBiase's band, and that's from the album Live For It, You Can't Stop Living, and before that we heard Deranged. Welcome back, David.
I hope.
Wow, we're really talking about a lot of stuff at the breaks, but David's got more stuff to tell us, I'm sure.
Before the break, what was it?
We were talking about I think the Anastasi,
oh yeah, well,
the
I was just trying to
Indians
like
and
make the connection
stuff.
between how I'm coming to the conclusion that this thing I found is I mean, this is like it's just too. I can't even put into words how it's unfathomable that why where I am and why me did I find, if it really is, if it I mean, there's a big if it really is Ra, who came over to the New World to hunt down his younger brother Thoth, and they're right next to each other. They're like a quarter of a mile from each other, and in between them and all around them is nothing but carnage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Nephilim jaws ripped off. These jaws are like 18 inches long and 12 inches wide. They got double rows of incisors and a molar in the front on either side and a molar on the back. The molars are the size of 50-cent pieces.
Well, I just want to
They're
put this
huge.
out there because I think it's real important to understand whenever you disclose, you always want to get the information out to the public as soon as possible. I mean, the people who try to keep things quiet sometimes don't make it to get to the public. So I just want to put that out so everybody knows that whenever you come across information, the more public you are about it, the safer you'll be. And so I think it's real important to say that. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just in a rock and a hard place on this one. I mean,
Because you want to have it tested. You want to have authenticity before
I even present it to somebody that's
Right.
any kind of credential. Because something like this is like unprecedented. It's in my research. I don't think anybody, even in the Middle East, I think the closest thing to this that they've ever found were Nephilim bones of various sizes. But I don't think anybody's ever found one, let alone two, Dracos.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
people would think I'm insane. I mean, my wife
That's
thinks I'm
okay.
insane.
They can think whatever they want. You're familiar with Lloyd Pye. He wrote his first book was Everything You Think You Know Is Wrong. And he proceeded to show how we're supposed to be developed from apes. And he showed how our body structure, but the bone structures aren't even the same. It's like they're trying to fool people because they don't understand anatomy.
Right.
They don't understand animal anatomy and human anatomy, and they put these things together. They make these pictures, and they tell everybody for all these hundreds of years, well, over 100 years, that we descended from apes, and the bone structures don't even match. It's like nothing.
Good old Uncle Charlie.
Nothing, absolutely nothing, is what you think it is. And then he comes out with the Star Child skull. And before he could have it tested, I think he did, expose it. He showed it, and then he had to test it, and that, we found out that it's thinner and lighter than human bone. It's not even, human bone. It's maybe 98% human DNA, but something like that. I forget the percentages.
The hybrid.
But it is. Yeah, it is partially human, but it's not. It has nothing to do with our bone structure. It's completely different. So people are exposing this all over the place. I mean, you have to. You need just to save your own life and to get the information out because you want people, to know the truth. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're exposing the lies.
Yeah. But I guess I just have to get a little back on track. I've been like 3 months or more leaving this thing idle.
Yeah.
I needed to get away from it for a while because it was just consuming me, and there were actually some strange things happening to me, and there's been some hard times, like economically, and I'm wondering if it's all connected somehow. The negative energy. I mean, I got these samples sitting in my house, and I mean, we're talking about 4,000 or so year old samples of like serious energy of, like, I'll tell you an example. I was analyzing a picture last night, trying to figure out what the specimen was, and in the process, I started seeing all kinds of different forms and faces and demons and more. And every time I looked at one, I saw another one, and one was part of another one, and then they would combine to make it even yet another one. Like those pictures where there's multiple things in one object, but it's really three.
Right.
And I was just like blown away, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not on the site, and it's not on the original picture when it was first taken. But the more I'm looking at it here, somehow
you're seeing stuff, yeah.
Yeah, somehow the digital phone camera I was using captured these images that manifest maybe from the energy that's in the site at that particular area of the site. Mm-hmm. Like those pictures they get when they're taking pictures of something, and then they develop the film, and then they realize there's a ghost in the picture.
Yeah. Well, you know the first purpose of the television, the cathode ray tube, was created so that they could interact with these entities. And I forget the name of the individual, but Chris Everard goes into that a lot. But that was the main purpose of the television when the cathode ray tube was first created. And now we have these black slate, well, they're basically scrying screens. That's what I call them, these big flat screen televisions. And the computer screens, they're all black screens. And I think it's real important for people to understand that these are portals. Even though we're on the internet and, maybe when we're not watching television, but there's other things besides electronic cameras and microphones being, used through these systems as things that we don't understand. So it's really good for us to present this kind of information because it helps people to look at things differently. And I know for Christians, especially people who have a really strong religious background, it's almost impossible to even look at this stuff because you think if you look at it, your eyes are going to fall out of your head. But the truth of it is that's when enlightenment starts, when you move past that fear and you start to really look at things and you can see things for what they are. You're really looking at the reality of it.
Well, it's sad they think that way because once you know this stuff and you are a Christian, I'm not saying you got to be, or even if I am or not. I don't want to get into that.
No, go ahead.
But for those who are, if you know this stuff and you can somehow process it, it actually makes more sense, and it actually makes Jesus's life and function or mission that much more important or pertinent.
Right. And I also think it's important.
That's the whole reason why he's there.
Right, and I think it's important to say too that when you get involved, like we have a woman on one of our hosts who's involved with spiritualism, and she does wonderful work doing hauntings and presenting all kinds of really wonderful information. You have to have some kind of spiritual belief. You can't go in this like just being an atheist because you have to have some kind of spiritual protection.
Oh, no, I'm praying to Yeshua every minute I'm up at this place in the broad daylight.
Right.
And as soon as it's dusk, I am out of there. I am the F out of there. Okay?
Well, they come in the daylight. So
I mean, we're talking
restricted
about,
by night.
no, believe me, I don't even want to be there in the day, but I'm doing research. And get this, I had an old friend call me whom I taught how to play guitar. I actually turned him on to guitar and hadn't seen him since like 20 some odd years ago. And he calls me, and then we started talking about stuff, and then I told him a little bit about this, and then he's like, hey, is that up at so-and-so? And I mean, he's like, yeah, a mutual friend of ours brought me up there at night to show me this place, and he was involved in a cult in Maine, and he said this place is full of spirit energy. And I'm like, does he have any idea what kind? Does he have any idea what took place there?
Right.
What kind of cult is he in? Because if he knows what it is, he's into the satanic stuff. Yeah, and
I think it's also fair to say it's what your intention is, and if you like you're doing this work and you're stumbling upon this research, but your intention has nothing to do with occultic practices. You're just trying to understand. So your intention is a positive light. It's not a negative light. So I think compared to what you're stumbling upon and what your intentions are, I mean, your intentions are greater, but you still have to like protect yourself, and and it's good to like maybe find people in your area that have similar interests, because I think that'll even give greater protection. because
Yeah, I
I
had
think there's
one, but
protection in numbers, you know.
I had one when he
Community.
moved. He moved before I had a chance to show him.
Yeah, well, you'll find more people. You know, you
Those-
can.
You know him, Frater X.
Yeah, he moved.
He went to Kansas.
Oh wow.
I was gonna show him this, but it was like not enough time or something. I don't.
Well,
just,
maybe you can
you
send
know.
him the pictures. You know.
I don't know.
And you know, and also you could start your own group, like a community group that's focused on paranormal or. You
I
know,
don't know, man. People around here are just really overeducated people. They're just so like out of touch with that stuff.
But you'd be surprised if you go online and you just type in metaphysical in the Boston area. You know, you might get like 5,000 web pages of websites that are maybe within 15 miles of your house. So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I have a couple Black Sabbath songs. I have Sweet Leaf, and the other one is Children of the Grave. Oh my gosh. I got to hear that one. That is just what we're talking about. Isn't that weird? I'm going to play it. Go ahead. You want to explain it?
With me?
Yeah.
Well, by title, you might think it's kind of close to what we're talking about. But I guess he's referring to, like, if you just let the powers that be have their way, we're all going to end up dead.
Wow.
You know, as far as in relation to war. You know, the good old Skull and Bones, the war room. 322 coming at you.
Okay, so we'll play it. This is so uncanny. I asked somebody could throw me some Black Sabbath, and True Seeker did. So here we go. Children of the Grave. Wow, that is too wild. Black
They
Sabbath.
did it. Actually.
Huh?
They played it like 2 days ago.
Cool. Sample of that. That's like synchronicity at its highest point. You're talking about entrails and fetuses, and and I'm lucky enough to get Children of the Grave. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then get this. They actually also have a song called Embryo.
Do they? Oh.
And that's exactly about ancient Semitic sacrifice of the Canaanites.
Oh my God! So you were actually getting an education way back in the 70s, when I was I was in Catholic school, so I wouldn't have known about Black Sabbath.
Yeah, they're anti-Catholic, even though they grew up Catholic.
That is too cool.
Especially Tony Iommi, the Italian Englishman.
That is so interesting.
They have another song called Megalomaniac. It's all about the Illuminati, not the Illuminati, the Anunnaki making us slave for their gold.
Wow.
It's intense.
And that's from
man.
the 70s.
Yeah, you could download the lyrics Megalomania on the Sabotage album.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite Sabbath songs. It's the whole thing in a 5-minute song. Tells you in a geezer, he wraps up the whole Anunnaki trip of they created us to be their slaves and they threw away the key and all this stuff. Digging our gold in the days of old, threw away the key, locked the door, threw away the key, you know.
Amazing.
He knows. He just knows. He's
knew.
aware. I don't know how he found out. You know how he found out is part of the way was Ozzy found this book in an antique store. It was called the Necromonicon.
Yep.
That's famous, you know, black magic book in the 16th century.
Yeah, it's a what do you call
Francis
it?
Bacon. Yeah, Francis Bacon was using, and Dr. John Dee.
It's what do you call that? It starts with a G, right? A grimoire.
That's another name, yeah.
It's a grimoire. Yeah, and
And he
it's
woke
a
up-
witch's book of spells.
Well, there's different ones, and he had a really heavy one, the old one, and Ozzy gave him. And he woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and saw this huge black shadow, and that's what that song Black Sabbath came from. Figure in black, pointing at me.
Amazing.
Figure in black with eyes of fire. Telling people their desire.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. Their spirits have red eyes that they glow.
Yeah, that's like the Mothman. They used to see this thing with red eyes flying around. Remember the Mothman
Mm-hmm.
Chronicles
Yeah.
in Connecticut?
Yeah.
And then some people like brushed it off. Well, that was just an owl that scared people, and they were like overreacting. And I'm like, oh, really? How can you mistake an owl for a freaking winged creature with a 12-foot wingspan? Oh,
Yeah. How could you?
you know. Yeah. By the way, my little specimens, they have wings.
Ugh.
They have wings, and I got claws with cuticles protruding out of the rock or draped over the edge of a rock. I've got feet curled up in rigor mortis, big giant hind legs, with the feet, the claw and the back curled up from when it's, you know, like a bird dies and it curls up.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy stuff. And it's like, the reason I know it's organic is the flint. See, in this place, it's all flintstone. So whatever isn't dark gray are various shades of gray, yellow, green. That's all organic petrified material. Skin, you know?
Yeah.
And it's rumored that our Dracos had gray skin or sometimes like a golden hueish skin, and that's why they call them the Elohim, the shining ones. Because they had scaly, shiny skin. Pale skin. You know?
Yep.
Am I off air? I'm ruining all this good information.
No, you're on air. We're on air. You know, do we want to play another song? We can play one of your songs. I'm trying to download the Megalomania.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, what was I going? The different organic materials show up in different colors in the minerals, and when they fuse, and that it's all over the place. But it's like not random. It's a structured, symmetrical, anatomically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's anatomically like symmetrical. Like it looked like somebody took a giant iguana that had wings and dropped it from the sky.
Wow.
But it had horns like a goat. It's just too bizarre. It's got claws, and the thing is that these things are all familiar to each other because they're related. The Dracos, the fallen angels are Dracos, and the Nephilim giants, and then the Phoenician Canaanite, men who are hybrids, these 12-foot guys. Their footprints are all over the place, and sandaled footprints that are like 17 inches long. That would be like a 12-foot guy.
Right.
I can figure this out because those of you who don't know, there's such a thing called the golden ratio. Your foot is 1/3 the length of your entire leg from your hip down. So you can multiply. If you have a foot that's 1 foot long, then typically the whole entire length of the leg is 6 times the foot.
Right.
So it's a 6-foot man for a 1-foot foot. Same thing with the hand. Golden ratio is represented by the hand. It's the armpit to the fingertip times 3 hands. Wait a minute. No, that's the elbow. From the end of the elbow to the fingertip, including the hand itself, that length is 3 times the distance of your hand.
Right.
That's the golden ratio.
Yeah.
It's represented in man. It's represented in the Pythagorean theorem, pi, and the pyramids.
Is it also, can it also be considered like the Fibonacci? Or is that
I don't know.
different? Okay.
What is
The
that?
golden ratio. Well, the Fibonacci is you have 1, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 2 plus 3 is 5.
If it works out the same multiple, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Numbers.
So,
Amazing.
yeah,
Bye.
they're all connected. But okay, we're at 9:30, and I'm gonna do a station break, and I'm gonna play another song. I'm gonna play "Still Alive," so we'll go with "Kill Bill," which is ours, and then we'll go to "Still Alive," which is
So I have time to step
"Live
out for
for
a minute?
It" by Girl on Top. Go ahead. I'm sorry, David.
I have time to step out for a second.
Yep, take your time. We'll be right back with Girl on Top lead guitarist David Simmons.
Government, freedom, law, education, health, free energy, money, debt. Awake Radio, deconstructing the dream world, one lie at a time.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? You know, for a second there, yeah, I kinda did.
Said you know I'm still alive. Feel good inside. There's nothing wrong with me. You know I'm still alive.
Crucify yourself by Live for It by Girl on Top. And we have David Simmons on Alchemical Connections here on Awake Radio. Thank you, David. In our last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about?
Wow.
We can go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of like stuck.
Well, I
am stuck with my thing that I've been researching. You know what I mean? I have to like feel really confident they're not going to. You see, I don't know if this is a good thing to think or say, and I try not to think of it, but maybe I'm making more out of it than there is. But the thing is, if this is what I'm thinking it is, it's unprecedented. And I'm not trying to brag, or I'm not looking for like all this fame or anything. I just want to know. I just want confirmation. That's what I want. I want confirmation. I don't want fame. I don't care about being published. I just don't want it destroyed. I want people to know, but in a way that's cool. But it's not going to happen because it's public land. It's not private land. It's not on land like a farmer's yard in the back, and I could just say, oh, can I just bring my dog back there and some friends, and then he'll never think twice.
Right.
It's not like that. This place is gated. It's guarded. As far as I'm concerned, not as far as I'm concerned, but as far as I can speculate, who knows, maybe even the local Freemasons used the site at night. And I've actually found fresh blood the next on 2 different times in the middle of the day when I went there. And it might have been just an animal that hunted another animal, but there weren't any furs or feathers or anything. It was just blood. Yeah,
we have a couple hosts. Jim Swagger posted an interview he did on there's a pentagram. Now I won't remember what country it was, but it was real sensational, like about a week ago or a week and a half ago, and the whole website where most of the information that was published tried to distract you from this pentagram that was like 1,200 feet in diameter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, from being anything satanic. And, I'm sure there's Wiccans that, a lot of people don't think are satanic that may use that site. It could be used for whatever, but it was funny how they noted that the website that tried to describe the archaeologist or the woman who presented the information about it, who totally omitted that there was a circle around the star, the pentagram, and they felt that it had the top of the pentagram, the point of the pentagram, had a southward facing, so they felt it was an inverted pentagram. Yeah, but my thing was, how do we know that the North Pole isn't the South Pole? I mean, there's so much misinformation, and people kind of sensationalize this stuff, and I know it's scary for a lot of people, but we can't be afraid of it. We have to see it for what it really is, and if it's being used for sacrifices, yeah, that's a bad thing. Do we understand the full implications of Satanism and all the different sects of it and all the different aspects of it? And not everything is sacrificial. I mean, and then they are in different aspects. It's not human or animal or whatever. But I don't understand it all. I mean, I had a college course, and they asked me to go to a religion different than one I've ever been through, and I had gone through all the Protestant, so-called Protestant sects. So I thought it would be cool to go to a OTO.
Oh, no.
Right, yeah, and it took me 2 months to get invited. I missed the class thing, so I ended up going to a Catholic church and writing what it felt like to go back into a Catholic church after all these years. But I did. I went, and I'd had no idea. It's a sex cult. I had no idea. It was a sex cult. and they had like it was Holy Communion when Aleister Crowley set that up. He set it up to be like anti-Christian, and everything there, like there's a naked woman on the altar, which
backwards.
totally shocked the crap out of me. But I thought, well, you got yourself into this, so whatever. And they gave out the wine and host, and it was just like almost not quite a Catholic mass, and it was just like, this is really weird. And then I kind of researched it and got into it, and I was wondering why everybody was looking at me funny. They were sizing me up for other duties. I had no idea. Well, I never went back again. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I fit in, and I didn't really know what was going on, so it didn't. And I wasn't into that. I wasn't into anything about that. Yeah. And after I found out about it, it was just blew my mind. But yeah, I tend to do things like that because I'm inquisitive and I want to understand things. But I have no desire to move in that direction. Although it fascinates me,
OTO.
Dr. D,
Dr.
Edward
John
Kelly. I love all that. I love reading about it. I love hearing about it. I would love to meet Vincent Bridges because I think he has probably the best understanding of John Dee and that whole Elizabethan area. Yeah, probably.
Elizabeth's doctor.
Dr. John Dee, yep.
Oh, speaking of Elizabeth, do you know what Elizabeth means?
No.
E of Liza, lizard. Beth,
Wow.
ancient Aramaic for born of the house of.
The lizard?
Yeah, E of Liza, lizard, Beth.
Wow.
Ancient Aramaic, that means Beth means born of the house of. In other words, Elizabeth means born of the house of lizards.
Wow.
Ask David Icke, he'll tell you.
David Icke and Michael Tsarian gets into to the etymology of words, and I love that. I love that, fascinates me, and I really love that you came on, and I'm thinking we're going to talk about guitars, and you go right into Black Sabbath in the 70s, how they're singing about these occult governmental entities, and it's like everything's so connected. Everything is connected. We are all connected.
Yeah, everything is everything. Everything is holy. Everything is holy. Everything is holy. That, like Patti Smith said, but she ripped off William Blake when she said that.
Yeah. Well,
that's a William Blake poem.
Everybody.
Everything is holy.
No,
I
had no idea. No, I'll have to check it out.
Look up William Blake. Everything is holy.
Look that up right now. I got the song too, Megalomania.
He's like William Blake is like the rock and roll poet that influenced everyone. Jim Morrison, Jimmy Page. I would say he might have even influenced Alistair some of the way.
Okay, and that was by William.
I think, yeah. Everything is holy.
William Blake, yep, pops right up.
She decided
everything
to do it.
Everything that lives is holy. It's called everything.
Yeah, everything that lives is holy, and then he makes the list and just says everything is holy after it. Something is holy. Yes, something is holy. Like the fish is holy. He was a character. He's my favorite.
Interesting. So he influenced the Doors.
Doors, Patti Smith, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, you name it. If it existed between 1965 and 1975, William Blake definitely influenced it. Especially if it involved LSD.
Well, I found a page. I found a page that actually reads it for you. That's
really?
so cool.
Now he was a genius, man. And he was shunned, by the establishment at the time. Because he spoke the truth, he was not afraid to, instead of, oh, you got to be politically correct, in the age of, I think he was Victoria.
Yeah.
1800s. And then at the tail end of that, along came Alistair after that, just over the...
Yeah, the late 1800s was a period of a lot of things.
A lot of people say it's the last good age for art and poetry and all that. The last of the Victorian age. And then Alistair came along and invented the 20th century, right?
Mm-hmm. So
and that's what that's what people say. That's what the Devil Advocate, they ripped off Aleister Crowley. Remember that little monologue that Al Pacino is going on? He's preaching to Keanu Reeves, and he's like, I invented the 20th century.
Yeah, I really didn't see that movie, but I think that's like something that they show a lot, like the snips.
That's a great movie. It's one of the greatest monologues ever. It's his last good movie Al Pacino made before he turned into an automaton typecast actor.
Awesome. Well, we have about 10 minutes.
He's like, oh, I forgot what else he said, what leads up to it, but he's like, if you don't give an F, you can do anything.
Really? I know. Do as thou will is the whole of the law.
Yeah, well, that's basically the rewrite of that.
That was what Aleister Crowley said. And if people understood really what that meant, it doesn't mean that you can just go and
screw somebody over.
Yeah, be as decadent and debauchery and all this other stuff, and it actually means that you love yourself and follow your own bliss. A lot of people don't understand that, but who am I to explain it?
So? I guess that might mean that, but his particular bliss was doing heroin and sex to the brink of death.
Well, when you're addicted, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but and I've never been addicted to heroin, so I wouldn't know. But
no, but I mean, that was kind of his motto. He was always looking for how far he could take it,
right,
right to the edge of death, and he probably actually even killed people doing that.
Well, a lot of people think that he did do a lot of sacrifices, that he killed children. And he joked in one of his books that it was because he was masturbating. And he spilled his seed. So that was him killing the children, his future children.
Right. But then again, he did say the best sacrifice is a 9-year-old male child of a bright countenance.
Yes? I think it's to your left. Sorry. 7. Somebody's knocking on my back door. And I'm talking about Aleister Crowley. Okay. Well.
Yeah, that's a purple line.
Yeah. Well, we're up to 10 minutes.
That's like Deep Purple knocking at your back
door. Yeah, for real. Well, it's kind of open, so I guess he kind of felt maybe it was okay, but I am getting a little chilly. Maybe it's time to close the door. So, you want me to I'll
turn out the light,
and then we'll come back and we'll talk about your website, and maybe we'll chat a little bit about the band. And then,
the band?
Yeah, we don't have to get off exactly.
The heck with the band.
The heck with the band. Okay, gotcha. Let me play Superman, because I like that one too.
Band of Gypsies.
Okay, this is Superman from Live For It album by the band Girl on Top.
You got something I wanna live for. Get on your knees. something I wanna live for. Here's my master plan. I said, babe, you're my Superman. I said, wow, what you doing now? I'm gonna talk till you understand. Wow, I want you for myself, even if it's bad. I'm gonna take you home. You're my Superman. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. I said, baby, this is not my style. I said, look out, mister, it's been a while. You got something I wanna live for. You got something grand. I said, babe, you're my Superman. I want you. I really need someone. Take me with you. Love me, need me. Please, now you've gone too far. Hey, you got to stop. Hey, come on, go slow. I just can't keep up. And if you need me, please me, tease me, love me, kiss me, hug me, squeeze me, lick me, bite me, feed me, come to me. 'Cause you're my Superman.
And we're back with David
Oh, I thought
Simmons. Go ahead.
Oh, I
Hey,
thought we
David.
were. How you doing?
Hey,
I-
you thought we
What's
were
that?
talking on air? Yeah, we're talking on and off air.
Oh yeah, drifting.
Go ahead. We'll talk about the
Okay.
six-winged Sephiroth.
Well, I'm just saying. I think that's what the fallen angels were to begin with, and then they became like these reptiles with bat wings when they fell. Right? You know, they were like loathsome. I forgot exactly what passage is. It's like it says in the Old Testament or the New one. I can't remember which one it was, but maybe it was Isaiah. You shall become as lowly as the serpent and slither through the grass on your belly for all eternity and be trampled upon by beasts and man alike.
Ooh.
And then there's another line where he talks about you shall be put into the abyss and bound by chains. Well, the abyss is their inanimate state, and it's made by stone. The chains are stone. And that's what they're talking about. This thing that I found happens to be the same thing, I think. It's the metaphoric way of saying what that is. It's like not literally chains, or and then the abyss is some dark, place in space. It's like something that is like trapped and held in, suspended animation in stone. Because then there's also the other, what?
Amazing.
Then there's the other prophecy that in the end of days, the dead shall rise from the grave and walk the earth, along with the coming of the fallen, the ancient, the old ones, the fallen. And then the wicked shall punish the wicked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while this is happening, the hunters will be hunted. And those that hunted the hunters originally will also be hunted in turn.
Amazing.
This is what's coming. That's why they're making all these zombie movies. They're trying to condition everyone for Prince Philip's dream to come back as a deadly virus and kill 3/4 of the human race.
Well, don't you think that we can change that with our intention? Don't you think that we may have already diverted a lot of their diabolical work already?
Maybe, because they're certainly going for the jugular on Alex Jones lately. I mean, geez, they're trying to make him out to be a racist and the reason that the Boston bombings happened and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he's striking.
He's all powerful.
He struck a nerve, didn't he?
Yeah.
And even though he doesn't even go where we're going today, ever. He doesn't get into that.
Well, he gets into other stuff, but
he's
difficult.
smart. He sticks to
difficult.
facts.
Yeah, this is difficult stuff. This is, like I said, if you're Christian or,
it's
Catholic or some kind of spirit. Muslims get into this more. Muslims have a more open mind. They talk about the jinn.
Yeah, well, the jinn, right. They grew up with the jinn from the ancient times, and actually the ancient, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to catch that thought before I lose it. The predecessors of the Muslims, the Zoroastrian, preceded the ancient Hebrews and actually were taught the Kabbalic system by Enki, Lucifer.
Yeah, I just recently heard that Zoroaster religion is probably the more truer.
And it's more older.
Yeah.
Than the Hebrew, the Judeo religion. It's older. That's where the Kabbalah came from, and that's where one of the oldest talisman known to man, the hexagram, the 6-pointed star, that everybody mistakenly calls the Star of David.
David, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to play a really short 28-second station break, and we're going to continue our conversation because the next host is having some technical difficulties. So anybody waiting for Truth Seeker 22 and a change of perspective, it's going to be a little delayed, and he's graciously asked that I try to cover a little bit. So I'm really fortunate to have David Simmons from Girl on Top, his band created by Karen DiBiase, his wife, and you can find them at girlontop.com and check out Karen DiBiase's.com website. It's DiBiasse. Did I say it right? DiBiase? Yeah. And we're going to do the station identification and be right back.
You're listening to Awake Radio. Straight talk for the awake and aware.
And we're back. You're listening to Chrissy McMahon on awakeradio.co.uk, and my special guest on Alchemical Connections this evening, extended edition tonight, is David Simmons from the band Girl on Top. And we have gone from an introduction that was really brief to David's education in the occult via 70s bands such as Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, and the Doors, and all different ways. And we've been talking about the angels, the Nephilim, the Anastasi, the reason for the disappearance of all the gold. We touched on the Nazis. We talked about Zachariah Sitchin, the tablets, and we're just wrapping it up, just getting into so many different areas because all this stuff touches everything. I mean, you can't really get into the political situation that we're experiencing, the economic system, and bypass this occult information. It's just like it helps you understand why we're in the situation we're in, how ancient these practices are, what they're really about. And when the Bible talks about it's a spiritual war, or this is about spirits and principalities, they're not lying. This is otherworldly. And
yeah, that's why Zeppelin wrote The Battle of Evermore.
You want to explain that?
The Battle of Evermore. Well, it's just based, exactly what you just said. It's not there's more to the picture, like Neil Young said, than meets the eye. It's really going on at a spiritual level. The stuff you see physically is just piddly. It's magnanimous on the spiritual level.
Magnanimous.
And if you want to go back to the physical level, like she said, you can't talk about the socio-economic situation without going to the occult. That's absolutely money is a construct.
Talisman. Yeah, it's a talisman.
Of the imagination
Absolutely.
of the ancient Hebrew Kabbalists. Period.
Absolutely.
And my friend in Philadelphia, Mark Passio, says that if you eliminate money, you eliminate 90 or more % of the problems that we're dealing with. And I can't agree more. I say we just say no more money, and we just barter. Services for goods, goods for services, period. Period. End of story.
And then eventually we'll get to the point where we'll just give to each other without seeking something in return.
Yeah, I mean, if it can get to that level, I'm not working.
Why not? Why
it's
not?
Utopian, but I mean, it's no reason why you couldn't. I guess I don't know how.
Scary, I know it's scary.
Where it is now, and making that leap, it's like a leap of faith.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of good ideas about how to proceed from this point, and I'm desperately trying to move into the alternative energy genre. I have a web page on Facebook that has 800 members, over 800 members, and a lot of the people on there are actually creating devices that generate a source of free energy, alternative energy. And it's just amazing that this is exploding, but it doesn't move fast enough for me. Maybe I'm a little ADD. I have no idea, but I want to do everything I can, and I've even said to a few people, if I could be an apprentice and sleep under the lab table, I'd be happy to help to move this forward. Because I really I just am so, and I understand a little bit of about electricity, but I don't know anything about electronics. So I think I took the wrong courses in college. I should have took the electronics course. I think that would have benefited me. Yeah, it would have benefited me a lot more than higher education and psychology. Psychology just frustrates. But back to David, because this is David's show.
You're talking about Tesla, electromagnetism generators.
Absolutely. There's so many pioneers. He was one of them. He's one of the people who tried 100 years ago to bring what he called a bread box into everybody's home that would generate enough energy to operate everything in your household. He's the one who originated wireless technology. The reason why we have wireless phones and all this is because of Tesla. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But this information and this energy technology is even probably more ancient. So and the suppression of information, we're getting little bits and drabs, and we're learning that in ancient Egypt they had light bulbs. We see pictures of them on the walls.
They had electromagnetic. There's these. They found the urns with the copper strands, and then the top was it lit up.
In Iraq, yep. The batteries, yep.
But
all
those
kinds
were
of stuff.
that happened to be found there. They were probably all over the place in Egypt and near there.
Absolutely, and a lot of these cataclysms that we think may have been a way of the powers that were. I love that. Using technology to cover this ancient. Like I just recently heard that somebody said there's pyramids in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, underwater.
Underwater, and they've always kept people away from that area because they scared them with you'll disappear, you'll never come back, and it's Devil's Triangle.
That stuff happened, but it's not always, and it's not. You're saying they
Well, I think people have a great fear, and they will avoid traveling. They don't have travel paths in those areas and all that, and it's a great cover. It's a great cover to keep people away from truth. And that's been the MO. If they said, it's going to harm you, it's going to hurt you, don't look at it, you'll go blind, all this other stuff, that's probably the thing you should be looking at. And I don't know how else to say. I can't say any simpler. But and like Alex Jones, like I'm not particularly fond of him. I think he's coarse. I think he sensationalizes a lot of things, and I can't go there because I don't want to hold that energy. It's too low for me. But his message and the information he brings forward is so important for all of us. So the fact that right now, like you were talking about how blackballed he's being, and I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm just kind of hearing bits and drabs here and there.
Yeah.
So, that's probably the person you should be listening to. Also, David Icke, I played a pod this morning. David Icke is starting his own television show.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of listening to you, and I'm keeping it in the back of my mind. But I, just want to say this is David Icke starting his television show right at a time when Alex Jones is being dethroned. It's kind of like, and then you were talking about the ego. That's one of the first things you said, and like how even in the alternative community, we're so divided. We can't get together because we're so closed-minded about this information. We get stuck in one area. Like the liberty movement. You try to talk to those people about ghosts, they don't want to hear it. They think it's too woo-woo or, heebie-jeebie. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. Well, what if Benjamin Franklin was having sacrifices in the back of his house and burying the bones and, conjuring up all this information that, created this construct and
he was a double agent for the throne, and they did find 10 9-year-old bodies in the basement of his flat in England.
Right.
Beheaded. Yeah.
And in Philadelphia too, I thought.
Oh, I don't know if it was in Philadelphia. I think he might have having his fun in England because he was a member of the OTO and the Hellfire Club.
Well, they didn't have an OTO back then, did they?
They called it the Golden Dawn.
The Golden Dawn, okay. Well, no, I think that was a little bit later. I think that was in the 1800s because that was the
Crowley?
I think that Golden Dawn was the 1800s. So we're talking about Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah,
we have to go back 1700s. That was the Rosicrucians.
He was in a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think he was involved. I thought he was in the OTO as well as the Hellfire.
Well, I don't know if Franklin, unless he, lived longer than they said. He might have been. I'm open to everything.
No, I thought the OTO was around a long time.
No, that was a construct of after the Golden Dawn. I'm almost positive. Ordo Templi Orientis or something. I forget. I'm not saying it right, but it's Ordo Templi Orientis.
Yeah, Ordo Templis Orientis.
I don't think it's that old. I don't think it's older
I
than
would
the
know.
Golden
Passio would
Dawn.
know.
Passio would know, yeah.
Yeah, he would know if anyone.
And we'll know too, probably after the show. Have you ever heard of a Dr. Mitchell Gibson?
You just mentioned him about 5 seconds ago. I think I might have. I mean, I do so much surfing and this researching. It's like ridiculous. I mean,
you're up all night like the rest of us.
Oh yeah. I need to take a break. I haven't done anything in 3 months. Working on cars.
Good. You need to take
cars in a sandblasting business, which is insane.
That's awesome.
Kinda. Except I'm throwing money at it and I'm not making money because it takes so much money to get it to work right.
Are you doing vehicles or are you doing artwork?
Whatever they bring me, I finish. I take the rust and paint off of them.
Awesome. So you're doing everything you can to try to support your lifestyle, your family, and be creative. It's awesome.
I just don't want to work for anyone, especially when I'm almost 50 now. I couldn't go back to the work. Working for somebody.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I'm right today. I'm right at that crossroads to make a decision. Somebody suggested that I had a head injury, and I'm really not able to do my job. But it was suggested that I go back to work and let them fire me, which sounds like a plan. But I don't want to even go back there. I don't even want to go back there. I mean, I can't. And when I think about that, when I let that go and I think about the other options that I could possibly have, I feel so much freer. When I think about doing something like that, which I think is kind of underhanded, I don't think, I don't want to live my life like that. That's not what I'm about. I want to live authentic and I want to live an honest life. And I mean, I could put it in my head, these people have taken advantage of so many people, why not? But I don't want to live like that today. I'm trying to bring good karma. I don't want to add to the negative. So I'm kind of like right today, I'm right in this frame of mind, and I've been trying to figure it out for all this time, and the last 3 months have also been difficult for me because of this head trauma. But sometimes you have to let go. You have to totally let go. And I love Freeman. Freeman and Jamie, they went on Miss Emily, MSMMLE, which was a bus that was donated to them and went all around the country, the United States, and spread the friendship message. Love one another. And people fed them and gave them gas and money, and he had computers set up. He had his little radio show all hooked up in the bus, in a school bus. I mean, they hooked him up, and it was all volunteer donations.
They finished that before the conference, right?
I guess they just did. They came to Philadelphia because they came. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep. But they were there, and I bought their book, Weird Stuff.
Yeah, but he's typically like one of the only people I can really talk to about this stuff.
Well, that's why I mean,
when he's not being barraged by people that want to talk to him when he gets off his little show.
Yeah, you have to consider, and for your own sanity, find a group or develop one, build a community of like-minded thinkers, and it's going to turn your whole world around. It's going to open you up to other possibilities. And
I don't know, man. I don't think anybody around here thinks like me.
You'll never know until you try.
Yeah,
so maybe we could give your websites again. Do you want to mention your websites? Excuse me.
Oh, I don't even know the exact.
It's girlontop.com.
.com.
And we have Karen. Get
at AOL.
No, that's your email. Unless you want to give that out, I don't know. There's plenty of information on the website, girlontop.com and KarenDiBiase.com. Karen DiBiase is the one who was handed the torch of the what is the man's name?
Dante Pavone.
Dante Pavone method of creating your voice and making you a singer. And not only that, she teaches instruments. She teaches how to play your instruments. Everything. And she does it online, which is absolutely amazing. So I wonder if this last section, if we could get Karen to come in, because we're kind of talking about her. Do you think?
Yeah, I think she's listening, and
if she's listening,
she could come in.
Mosey on over, and she want to give us another description of the Dante Pavone School of Music.
She'll start running in here.
Calling all Karen DiBiase's.
Oh, how about this? How about this for another confirmation of what we're mostly talking about, the angels? How about the face on Sidonia Valley in Mars?
Yes.
That is it's Elil's tomb in the form of his face. It's 2 miles long and a mile high.
Wow. And
then you get NASA and Dr. Carl Sagan and even my own father, who took the pictures.
Father? Are you from Boston? Father?
Yeah, I'm from Boston.
Oh, you're from Boston. Okay.
My father, he basically built every camera that left the planet Earth, starting with the U-2 spy plane in '62, all the way to the Viking 7 Mars missions.
Your father?
Yeah, he designed all the cameras and the solar power controls for the buggies and the cameras.
Oh my God! And what was your father's name? Can he divulge that?
Harry Simmons.
Harry Simmons, amazing. So look at that.
He even says the same thing Sagan and the Navy and NASA say, oh, it's just geographical shadow anomalies.
Well, you know what David Icke says, when you're in the construct, when you're in the matrix, you only see what the matrix wants you to see.
Yeah, but I'm not in it.
Yeah, we're not. How come we're not in it?
We're like,
I get it. What's wrong with our DNA?
We're outside looking in.
Thank God.
And we're pounding on the glass saying, you dumb monkeys, wake up!
Come on out here. Come on out here.
Get out of that cage.
Where the sun's shining.
You know?
Get out of the dark.
There's so much evidence on Mars, just Mars alone, that confirms what we were talking about. Mars was a way station from Nibiru to Earth. And by the way, these fallen angels, they live for billions of years. They created the Earth.
Amazing.
Yeah, there was a planet called Tiamat, 3 times the size of Earth, where we are now. And then along comes Planet X, and they took their moon, which was named after the name of the moon used to be Kingu, which was the name of the grandfather of Lucifer. And that was the whole meaning of what it means to be king. And the moon was named King when they collided into Tiamat and shattered her into kinds of pieces, and it became the firmament up by Saturn, the asteroid belt. And then the rest coalesced and became Earth.
Amazing.
And they instigated that 4.5 billion, as Carl Sagan would say, billion years ago. This is what we're up against.
I have that song, Carl Sagan singing that.
What?
Somebody made a song out of it.
They should, huh? I should.
No, they, like when he's talking, they turned it into
they did
a little,
already?
Yeah, like a song. It's just a thing on the YouTube. It's no big deal. I don't even know which one is him, but I have a couple of them.
Maybe I should steal it and make a whole 4-minute song out of it.
Wow.
There's actually a band from England called Tiamat. They're inspired by either Zachariah Sitchin or Black Sabbath, because they sound a little bit like Sabbath, and that's all they talk about is the Anunnaki or the devil. Same difference. Anunnaki means they who from heaven came to earth. And you could substitute the word came with fell. And then you get a more accurate description of what the meaning of Anunnaki is. And the end of the name Anunnaki, Ki, that's a short abbreviation for earth, ki. Or Ka, it's also a synonym of Ki, not to be confused with Ka, the spirit in Egypt.
Right.
That enters and exits through the mouth. And by the way, my specimen, the two biggies, the faces, the snouts, and the mouths are lobbed off by rocks. They're smashed by my ancestors who killed them, slayed them, and killed their friends, the giants, their children, and drove them off the land because they were eating my ancestors, babies. And they knew, somebody taught them about Ka, which I say was Thoth. And Thoth probably gathered up my ancestors as allies and taught them. He taught them about Talak, because the origination of Talak comes from the Canaanite region of the Semitic lands in the Middle East. And Talak is the rain god, the fertility god, the god of thunder. And his symbol, and the Druids represented him, and I don't know the actual Druid name that's synonymous with Talak, but the symbol is a deer antler with lightning around it. And there's one of those up there on the hill too.
Wow.
And the lightning's made out of human bone. And check this out. On the western rim facing the setting sun, there's all kinds of other specimens and sacrifices. And there's a broken leg that's about 9 years old. It's broken in 4 places and ripped off at the hip like classic Semitic style. And above that is a head of a Dracos offered up. And then to the left of that, above the Dracos, is a jaw of a Nephilim. And then in between the jaw is a little baby footprint of a baby.
Wow.
This stuff is sick.
Yeah.
This is heavy stuff. They were sacrificing their own because they were losing in the war against Thoth and my ancestors. And there's regular Indian-sized footprints. There's Phoenician-sized footprints, and then there's anything from 24 inches to 40 inches with 6 toes like Goliath, giant footprints, all facing cliffs, being run off the cliffs into the lake.
Wow.
By in the battle they were having up there. There's evidence of this all over the place. And not only this, I have 5 other spines that are 35 feet long in various places, in various locations, scattered all over the place. And I also have a Plesiosaurus dinosaur fossil, 35 feet long.
And that's at the site. That's at the site where you're...
Yeah, a Plesiosaurus, like Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Like Nessie.
Yep.
Right there. And then right next to her is one of those giant prehistoric fishes that lasted up until the last one they caught was like around the 1920s, the Ichthyosaurus. With all the fins, like the big chunky fish that's about 4 feet long with all the fins hanging off it.
Yeah.
That's right on the ground. Next to it, there's sea turtles everywhere. There's turtles, there's fowl, there's snakes. And they all signify either the thunder god, the rain god, the sky god, or the mother goddess, like the snake. There's symbols of triangles. There's yin and yang symbols. There's hatch marks, like triangulation marks all over the place, like alien language all over the place. There's alien boots, footprints. There's graven images of Moloch, Anubis.
Wow.
There's even a giant face. There's even a face of a Nephilim with a crown. It looks like Nimrod, and it's about 4 feet high and 3 feet wide, carved out of stone. And there's also ancient Semitic phallic dismemberment, which is an emulation of the tribute to Osiris to give back his phallus because Isis couldn't find it. Remember?
Yep.
It's in a flat. It's petrified in its flaccid state, and it's over 10 inches long. So that was a Nephilim phallus given up as tribute to either the Aton Ra, Baal, or Osiris. It's pretty wild, huh? Is this wild or what?
It is. It's all wild. I mean, when you get down to it and you start to really understand how diabolical, I use that word all the time. Do you have a better word than that? Diabolical?
I don't think I do, man. That's a pretty good one. I mean, I really don't. That's one of my favorite. Unless you just like emphasize it with some other, like effing diabolical or.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm sending a link to Karen with the webpage for the Symphony of Science, and it has all these different songs that you can listen to, and maybe next time we talk, we'll be able to hear your rendition of Our Place in the Cosmos or something. But we got like 2 minutes left, so I'm going to say goodnight and let you go to sleep because I know you got a busy day tomorrow.
Kinda.
For your last day, Friday, day of the week. And I want to say thank you, David, and thank you to Karen for suggesting this because this was a complete surprise. It was really fresh and you blew my mind. Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. I had no idea. I had no idea we were going to talk about this stuff.
What's that?
I had no idea that we were going to talk about all this stuff.
I just had a feeling that a lot of people probably already heard all this stuff.
Well, believe it or not, a lot of people don't want to hear all this stuff, so it's kind of amazing. So
I thought they might have already have, whether they want to or not. But it's not so much hearing about it; it's about, for me, it's more about getting it off my chest because it's like I have a physical reality or a remains of something that is absolutely major. And I am pretty positive. See, based on my research and knowledge of ancient history of this stuff, it's all right there, all like spelled out in stone.
Yep.
It's there. All the different Semitic or whatever Canaanite practices, they did them all. They did the 9-year-old child, the broken leg. They did there's skulls of babies that are only 3 months old in term. There's placenta, there's embryo, there's phallic dismemberment. They dismembered themselves or each other. I've got giant hands with 6 fingers reaching out of the mud like they've just been killed and they're struggling to crawl out of the hole they've been put in. I've got 2 Dracos that have been buried next to each other side by side with breastplates that look like turtles. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I can't even tell you all of it. I haven't even remembered it all.
I know. I just encourage you to get this information public as soon as possible. And I want to say thank you to David Simmons for joining us on Alchemical Connections here on Awake Radio. Thank Awake Radio for this opportunity. And you have any last words, David?
No. Peace, man.
Peace. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking.
Okay.
Give my love to Karen, and I'll be chatting with you in a bit.
Okay.
You see what sending out the negative waves did, Moriarty?
But oddball, I did try and tell them, but they won't listen. I tried.
Sure.
But I did try.
Oh, man. Don't hit me with them negative waves so early in the morning.
But I can't force them to listen. I can't.
Always with the negative waves, Moriarty. Always with the negative waves. Have a little faith, baby. Have a little faith.
But I keep trying.